Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is Crimson Vegas. And yes, I know what you're thinking. It's been a long time since I last recorded, and it's like, where was I? Well, it's been a very long and difficult year for me. I was a bit unstable. My situation was a bit unstable. I was traveling all over the place, a lot of places to go to. I had some exams, some job applications. Not even my internet connection was stable in the places where I was staying. But yeah, things have stabilized a little bit more recently, and again, I cannot guarantee that I will be recording with any regularity, but for the time being, I think there will be a lot more recordings than before. So at least more than in the last past year. It's been a total blackout for the last past year for me, but I'm back, and I'm going to be playing Sid Meier's Civilization Beyond Earth, Rising Tide. Yep, that's the expansion. And with mods. So before you think this is some kind of vanilla play, because I'm sure you've already seen dozens of vanilla plays, and you probably have heard a lot of things about this game, both good and bad, but mostly bad, I would assume. Yeah, let's be honest, a lot of people had mixed impressions about this game. First of all, a lot of people expected it to be like a spiritual successor of Alpha Centauri, which was made by also Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri, sort of the same developers. And a lot of people thought that it actually turned out to be looking like a reskin of Civ 5, which, yeah, I guess the UI, the interface, and the environments, and the certain sort of building mechanics are very similar in terms of city building, expansions, and armies, and all that. So yeah, it's kind of similar to Civ 5, but there are some very main key differences, and a lot of the hate that this game got was a little bit unfair, I suppose. I think it's you know what? We'll just go straight into the mods, I suppose. We will discuss the game and its mechanics as we play. And by the way, the mod I'm going to be playing is in fact a complete overhaul, or like it overhauls almost 60% of the entire game. It's like the community balance patch for Civ 5, which I'm going to be playing in the future as well. But this one is for Beyond Earth, and it's called Echoes of Earth. It's available on Steam if you want to play it, and now it has a few quirks. In fact, you have to. One of its quirks is that you have to enable it twice. You have to click next, it will get enabled, and then you have to go back. You have to click press escape, go back to this mod selection screen, click next again, and then you can start the game and load it without having any trouble. Because if you don't enable it twice, there's going to be a little bit of a bug there. Basically, there's going to be a visual bug whereby all the oceans will not appear properly. It's going to appear like a vacuous space instead of an actual water in these oceans and lakes, and there's going to be some sort of UI, or the unit models are not going to appear as they should. So what else am I going to talk about? Now, yeah, one more thing. I know that Civilization 6 is about to come out, I think in October, but keep in mind there's still plenty of room for the older games. I don't think I'm going to be playing Civ 4. It's just not really my style. I tried to play it for a while, but I was not very good at it, to be honest. I guess I'm more of a casual-ish kind of strategy player, you might say. But nevertheless, there's plenty of room for the old games, including this one. It's not very old, I guess, but before everything before Civ 6. It's not the end-all, be-all, And especially with the mods. I mean, the mods, man, they really increased the lifespan of these games, and that's pretty much what I'm going to be playing for a while. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to enable this twice, so I'm going to edit this part out because there's going to be a bit of a blackout for a while, and I'll be back. Give me a second. Okay, so we're back here, and this is basically the mod screen. You go with single player. Of course, you have to do this every time. Yes, every time you start the game and you want to load a previous playthrough, which I've done here previously, you actually have to enable the mod twice every time you play. Yes, it's a bit uncomfortable, but it only lasts like 3 minutes. If you have a faster machine, it's probably going to last like maybe a minute or a half. It's not going to last very long. It's fine. So let's set up a game. Now, I already started a game previously. I gotta be honest, this playthrough is gonna be semi-blind because I only played for up to 50 turns, and so I did not experience all the victory conditions that this mod has to offer. So here are a quick explanation of what's gonna happen here. First of all, when it comes to the factions in vanilla, they were not very balanced. I felt like some of them were way better than others. For example, one of the best, perhaps, would be the Integer and Brasilia, for example, were very good in vanilla, and I think the Pan-Asian Cooperative were also pretty good, especially for the wonders and stuff. The Ark weren't bad either. The Falah were, in fact, overpowered, in my opinion, in vanilla, and they're still actually quite powerful. a lot of people did not like the African Union in vanilla because they felt like they sort of, for whatever reason, a lot of people didn't know how to play them. But there's something very interesting about African Union, both in vanilla and here. In vanilla, they were the only faction or sponsor which were actually capable of utilizing a specialist economy, because in vanilla Beyond Earth, the specialists were pretty much broken, and by broken I mean they did not work very well. They were actually very, very bad specialists. First of all, specialists in Beyond Earth do not give you great persons. You do not get any great people from them. No great writers, no great scientists, no great merchants or whatever. None of these things exist. So what is the point of using specialists? Well, you're going to be using them if you have an excess population. You're going to have like a bunch of population, and you want to have these extra specialized yields. In vanilla, they will give you like +2 energy and maybe 1 political capital, or 3 energy if you're using like the energy specialist. And so yeah, that's actually pretty bad for most of the factions. But the African Union, they had something unique. They actually gave +1 yield for every specialist, and that was their special ability. And you can improve this in the game. So towards the end game, you're going to have like +5 yield for every specialist, or something like that. It was actually pretty good. Specialist economy was very good with the African Union. Now here, they're all the same. They no longer get a bonus from specialists. Instead, they focus on growth and health, which is pretty much my playstyle. I like to grow big, have a large number of cities, and every city would be very large, and a lot of health. I really like to play an expansive game. That's just my playstyle, I suppose. I just really enjoy that kind of thing. And the African Union is still viable for specialists, because remember, in order to play a lot of specialists in this game, you need a lot of food. You have like a lot of food workers around the city itself, and the specialists themselves are just working for whatever yield whatever else yield is available. And of course, there are grower specialists which provide food in and of themselves, which is also interesting if you find yourself in a desert region, for example, with not enough food around you. And of course, there's a lot of different things in the game. Here, for example, they have applied sort of a common sense aesthetic or sort of theme throughout the game. For example, you can only build farms next to rivers here in this mod, and I guess it kind of makes sense, especially if you're like on an alien planet with not too many ready available sources of water, and you kind of desperately need a stable supply of water in the form of rivers. So yeah, you can only build farms near rivers in this game, in this mod. They also changed a lot of victory conditions. I guess the Emancipation and the Transcendence victory are still there, which are related to the affinities, which we're going to talk about later. They also changed the Signal victory, which is related to the signal from Old Earth. In fact, this mod is called Echoes from Earth. It's really centered around this new victory condition, which I have never actually been able to complete because it has a lot of sort of strict requirements, and there's a time limit in the early game where you have to sort of comply with the time limit in order to get that, in order to continue down the quest line for that achievement, for that victory condition. But anyways, I'm going to play the African Union, and let's go for the advanced setup. I know it's not as much fun to look at, but I'm actually going to go with this. Anyway, sponsors, 8 of them. We're going to go for, this is the starting bonuses, I suppose. You have the scientist, the biologist. The biologists, I think, are pretty much the most promising for us because they are complementary to our gimmick, which is maximizing food and health. Now, it may look overpowered, but don't worry. It's, food is actually not as important in this game as it used to be in other Civilization games. Technicians, which is +3 energy, if you really need energy, and energy in this mod is pretty much related, pretty much has to do with upkeep. You're mainly going to be using it for upkeep. That's pretty much the primary purpose of it. So yeah, this will help you out in early upkeep. Engineers for production, artists for culture, which would be great for the Franco-Iberian sponsor, I suppose. Diplomatic capital, yeah. So there's a lot of variety. Now, a bit of a warning, if you click the second engineer down here, I think there's going to be a bug. Yeah, it's repeated. One of them is a repeat, and it's a little bugged, so you might want to pick up this one, I think. Oh, one more thing, by the way, if you want to play this mod, be sure to check out the manual. There's a manual on Steam that you may have to read in order to be aware of all the issues and certain bugs and stuff like that. But there's not too many, and it also contains very extensive information about all the things you might expect in this mod. And yes, they have rebalanced things like the tech tree and all these other things. So you might want to be aware of these. So yeah, I'm actually going to select biologists, and hopefully we're going to be playing a very specialized economy, just growing as much as we can. What else? The spacecraft itself, Continental Survey, reveals coasts. I don't think I'm going to be playing a coastal map this time, and I will explain why, because I want to try something a little bit weird. Planetfall, this one is pretty much the best. Retrograde thruster, it was the best in vanilla, it is still the best here in my opinion. You have more choices as to where to land. You have the planetfall landing range is really good if you want to strategize exactly which resources you want to get in the early game. And of course, one resource pod near the start, so yeah, that's an extra artifact. No technology, you need to see geothermal resources. Not very important. But geothermal resources are very important for if you're going to be building a lot of wonders, which is not good for us. Probably more for the Pan-Asian Cooperative. But we're playing as the Africans, so we're not going to be playing too many wonders anyway. What else? When 100 energy starting, look at the start. This one reveals alien nests, which will be interesting because I am going to be playing Harmony Affinity, I suppose. But let's ignore that for now. I'm actually going straight for a retrograde. Let's go with that. Now this one is a little bit complex. This time it's cargo. I'm pretty sure it was different in vanilla, but basically what this is, you will, as long as you have a signal being received from Earth, you will continue to receive a certain bonus at a certain number of turns. So at turn 10, you will receive +1 population. At turn 20, you will receive +30 if you pick seed studies. If you go, for example, for weapons arsenal, well, okay, you will get just a free soldier at the start. What else? Oh, there we go. If you pick this one, History of Earth, at turn 10, you will get 50. At turn 20, you will get 100. Diplomatic capital, and turn 30 you will get another 100 diplomatic capital. So this would be very useful if you're trying to sort of advance your personality traits. This would be really good. However, the signal will disappear at around turn 60 something, 65, 70 or something like that. So if you fail to keep hold of the signal, which I will explain shortly in the game, you will no longer receive these bonuses. And I'm not sure how far these bonuses extend. Do they extend beyond turn 30 or not? I have no idea. I assume they don't. So yeah, we're going to ignore these for now. But I will take seed studies because, you know, huge amounts of population, that is our gimmick, and so we're going to go for that. We're going to go with the growth and health gimmick this time around. Yeah, see, all this food, all this population, that's exactly what we want. As for the planet type, now we see we have a slightly small variety of planet types here. I'm probably going to go with this one. It's probably one of the more difficult, especially in terms of terrain. As you can see, it's a world racked by tectonic forces without any oceans or easily accessible water. It's going to be full of trenches, mountains, and very few lakes and oceans. Actually, there's no oceans, pretty much just lakes. It's like going to be a huge Pangea map with very, very difficult terrain, which I think is cool. As for the biomes, the lush is going to be like a very sort of very Civ 5-ish, which is generally why I prefer to avoid this one. It's very boring. It has a lot of aliens, I guess, but they're very weak, very pathetic, and they just crowd the whole place. They're very, very annoying to deal with. I'm not a huge fan of Lush, to be honest. Fungal is interesting. Again, it's kind of similar to Lush, except they would have a sort of a symbiosis with the miasma, which is a terrain feature we will see shortly. Arid is cool. A lot of very tough aliens going to be building around, and Frigid is basically the same as Arid, except they try to stick around their original nests, which means you're going to have to build like supersonic repellers or some kind of building that will keep the aliens away. But I'm going to be playing with Primordial, probably the most challenging, and again the most interesting in terms of the aesthetic of it. It's going to be like a burning, fiery planet. Alien life on this planet is savage and primitive, as you can see. I'm just reading here on the text. The hive mind is much more sensitive to aggression, both quicker to anger and more easily frightened. So if you hit them once, they're going to be super sensitive and they're just going to attack you directly. They're not going to go full hostile, but they're going to be very sensitive to any kind of aggression for each faction. And I will be playing as Harmony, so it's going to be a little bit challenging to maintain our friendship with these guys until we get like level 2 Harmony or something. The difficulty level, I'm going to maintain Gemini because this is a mod and I haven't played it too much. And Gemini is still fairly challenging, especially if you're like experimenting, which is what I'm doing right now with all these weird gimmicks and stuff. And everything else is going to be just standard. We're going to enable all the victory types. Yeah, you can see them here. Domination, just capture all the capitals. Contact, which has to do with the signal, which I'd never actually done here in this mod. Promised Land related to, I think, the Purity affinity. Emancipation related to the Supremacy affinity. Transcendence related to Harmony, which is probably the one we're going to go for. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's gonna start the game right away.